Sometimes I think about what I would say to my 60-year-old self if I could travel back in time. The truth is, it's not a fancy list of achievements or wealth that I'd bring up first. Instead, I'd talk about the small moments, those quiet times when life shows its true colors. At 80, I've seen more days behind me than ahead, and that's a sobering thought. Yet, it also fills me with a gentle urge to share what I wish I'd known 2 decades ago. We often picture age as a burden, but there's a certain grace in reaching a point where you understand what really matters. I want to offer a bit of that understanding to you now. Maybe it will save you from a few regrets, or at least ease the ones you already hold. For many years, I chased goals that, in hindsight, were less important than I believed. I thought success was about climbing the ladder, ticking off boxes, and keeping pace with everyone else. Now I know that sometimes the greatest success is waking up with a steady heart and a sense of peace. The big things matter, of course, family, health, and purpose. But the older I get, the more I see how small things hold our lives together. A quiet afternoon with someone you love, a walk that clears your mind, or a meal that warms your heart. These moments are the real highlights. If I could sit down with my younger self, I'd say, don't ignore the small stuff. Those little moments will help you through every storm you face. Before we get further, I'd like to know where you're joining us from. And if you get any value from these videos, a like and subscribe would mean a lot. I hope what I share can guide you toward a calmer, more fulfilling path. We often assume we have all the time in the world when we're in our 50s or 60s. We push aside our real passions because life's responsibilities seem more pressing. We tell ourselves we'll get to the things we truly want once everything else is settled. But that day doesn't always come as planned. Responsibilities never really end. There's always something new that demands your energy. If you keep waiting for a perfect moment, you might lose the chance to do what sets your soul on fire. I wish someone had told me that my everyday choices at 60 would shape my life at 80. We don't realize how fast those 20 years pass. Blink, and you're there. I'm not saying you should drop everything and chase wild dreams without thought, but find a way to weave your passion into the life you already have. Even if it's just a few minutes a day, that time adds up over the years, and it nourishes a part of you that shouldn't be ignored. Another truth I wish I'd understood is how vital it is to keep learning. The world doesn't stop changing just because we turn 60, 70, or even 80. Even if we're not always comfortable with new technology or new ideas, refusing to learn leaves us isolated. The willingness to be a beginner again, no matter our age, keeps us connected to life. It also keeps our minds sharp. It's easy to think, I've done enough, I don't need any new tricks. But curiosity is a gift that helps us adapt. It can be as simple as reading about a topic we're curious about, picking up a new hobby, or asking a younger person to teach us something. Learning is not only for the young, it's a lifelong habit that helps us see the world with fresh eyes, no matter how many birthdays we've celebrated. People sometimes ask me if I have any regrets. Of course I do. I regret the times I was too proud to say sorry, the times I let small arguments push people away, and the times I chose work over family for no good reason. At 60, I thought I still had time to mend everything later. At 80, I've done my best to heal old wounds, but some scars remain. I wish I'd learned earlier that pride can be a silent thief. It steals our ability to forgive and to connect. Sometimes, what seems like winning an argument is actually losing a friend or missing a chance to be kind. If I could advise my younger self, I'd say, swallow that pride a bit sooner. Bridges are easier to maintain than to rebuild once they've burned. I also wish I had spent more time simply enjoying life's simpler pleasures. At 60, I felt that rest was for later, something to reward myself with after I'd done all the important tasks. Now I see that rest itself can be an important task. Taking a quiet morning to sip coffee and watch the sunrise, or spending an afternoon reading a book that stirs your imagination, these moments feed your spirit. We get so caught up in pushing toward our goals that we forget to breathe. I can't tell you how many sunrises I let slip by because I was either sleeping in or rushing around. I'm 80 now, and I cherish each chance I get to witness a new day breaking. Don't wait until your health demands that you slow down. Make time now, while you still have a choice, to truly savor the life you've been given. One lesson that took me decades to learn is the value of gratitude in everyday living. At 60, I often focused on what was missing. I saw my limitations more than my possibilities. Now, at 80, I've come to see how important it is to recognize small blessings. Waking up without pain, having a friend call to say hello, or enjoying a meal that you can still taste, these little gifts can brighten even the cloudiest day. Gratitude doesn't erase life's hardships, but it does offer a better perspective. When you look for reasons to be thankful, you're less likely to be swallowed by bitterness. I'd tell my younger self to practice this daily, not just when things are going well. It might sound simple, but gratitude is one of those keys that quietly opens the door to peace. I used to believe that I had to prove myself all the time, whether at work or among friends. Looking back, I see how that desire to be seen as successful can drain the joy out of life. If I could go back and talk to my 60-year-old self, I'd say, it's okay to do things just for fun without worrying about how they look to others. We often tie our sense of worth to what we achieve, but achievements alone won't fulfill us. Real fulfillment often comes from contributing in ways that reflect our values, from connecting with people who accept us, and from finding small joys in ordinary days. Let go of the need to perform for an audience. Instead, nurture genuine connections and treat your true passions with respect. That's where meaning grows, not in the applause but in the quiet moments of sincerity. It also took me far too long to appreciate my own health. At 60, my body still felt strong enough to endure stress, neglect, and the occasional bad habit. I figured I'd pay attention later. But time has a way of catching up with us. Now, I feel every late night I spent skipping sleep, every stretch of time I spent ignoring my body's signals. Caring for your health isn't just about living longer, it's about living better. If I could, I'd urge my younger self to find a form of movement that suits the body and to make it part of a routine, whether that's walking, swimming, or dancing. I'd also remind myself that food is more than fuel. It's part of how we care for ourselves. Don't wait until you have a health scare to realize how precious a well-functioning body truly is. Relationships are another area where hindsight can sting. At 60, I had people around me, but I didn't always nurture those bonds. Sometimes I expected loved ones to understand my silence or my preoccupation without question. I wish I'd invested more time in truly listening to them. Sometimes we forget that our presence and our attention can be gifts in themselves. It's not about grand gestures. It's about consistent acts of caring and respect. Sending a thoughtful message, sharing a meal in a peaceful setting, or even just sitting quietly beside someone can build connections that stand the test of time. Now that I'm 80, I hold on to the friendships I managed to maintain, and I feel the absence of those I let slip away. I'd tell my younger self, nurture the people who matter to you and do it often. Regret over broken connections can weigh heavier than you think. There's another piece of wisdom I wish I'd heard loud and clear at 60. Don't postpone joy. I used to put happiness on the back burner, believing there would be a better time to indulge in hobbies, celebrate small victories, or take trips with those I love. The years pass quickly, and the better time we wait for often dissolves before we realize it. Living in the present doesn't mean neglecting the future. It means understanding that the future is built on what we do now. Find joy in the ordinary. Let yourself laugh at silly things. And don't be afraid to create memories that don't revolve around work or obligations. At 80, I realize the moments that stand out the most are not the ones spent chasing lofty goals, but the ones spent sharing laughter and love with the people who matter. As I look back, I also see the power of forgiveness, both for others and for myself. We often carry guilt or resentment long after the event has passed, and it weighs us down more than we realize. If I could sit with my 60-year-old self, I'd gently say, let go of the grudges. They'll only hurt you more in the end. Forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciliation or forgetting. It simply means freeing yourself from the chains of bitterness. I used to think that holding on to anger kept me strong and guarded, but true strength often comes from letting go. You free space in your heart and mind for better things, love, understanding, and hope. At 80, I've found that even small acts of forgiveness can open doors you thought were closed forever. In the end, we can't turn back time, but we can share our lessons. I hope these words help you live.